I've been watching the Yellowjackets around my barn for about 3 weeks now. Every morning I go out there with my coffee, and I see them flying their little patrol routes along the eaves. Same paths, same time of day, like they punched a clock. Most people see that and they panic. They run to the store, they buy a can of something for $12, they spray it, they get stung twice, and next week the Yellowjackets are back. Then they call somebody to come out and charge them $200, $300, and the Yellowjackets still come back the following spring. $100 problem with a $2 fix. That's my kind of math. Let me show you what I mean. My grandfather showed me this when I was 7 years old. He taught me that if you want to deal with any creature, wasp, yellowjacket, hornet, doesn't matter, you don't fight it. You outsmart it. You use what you know about how it lives, what it eats, how it builds, and you turn its own habits against it. No war, no poison cloud drifting across the yard, no dead honeybees in the grass afterward. Just patience and a little bit of knowledge that's been working longer than any of us have been alive. That's what I want to pass on to you today. How to clear yellowjackets, paper wasps, and hornets off your property. And I mean truly clear them, not just knock down one nest and pretend the job is done. And you're going to do it without harming a single honeybee. That part matters. Honeybees are doing work for you every single day, whether you notice it or not. They're pollinating your garden, your fruit trees, the wildflowers that hold your soil together. You kill the honeybees, you're cutting off your own hand to scratch an itch. So everything I'm about to tell you leaves the honeybees completely alone. That's the deal. That's where we start. Let me begin with the bait, because the bait is the foundation of everything else. This is how you take out whole colonies. Not just the handful of workers you can see buzzing around, but the queen, the larvae, every last one. Gone, quietly and completely. Here's what you need: a jug of apple juice. Plain apple juice, nothing fancy, nothing organic, nothing special. The cheap kind from the dollar store works perfectly fine. And you need boric acid, pure boric acid powder. You can find it at just about any hardware store, sometimes even in the pharmacy section of a grocery store. Make sure it says pure boric acid on the label. You don't want anything mixed with fragrances or dyes or other chemicals, just the plain white powder, fine like flour. Now here's the recipe, and I want you to pay attention because the proportion matters more than people think. For every quart of apple juice, you stir in 2 level teaspoons of boric acid, not heaping teaspoons. Level. Scrape the top flat with your finger. You might think more is better. It's not. And here's why. If you put too much boric acid in the mixture, it changes the taste just enough that the wasps notice. They'll take one sip, something won't sit right with them, and they'll leave it alone. These are not stupid creatures. They can detect things we can't. You want the concentration low enough that the juice tastes like juice to them. Sweet, fruity, irresistible. They drink it. They carry it back to the nest in their crop. That's the little storage pouch inside their body where they hold food for the colony. And they feed it to the queen and the larvae. Mouth to mouth. The whole colony eats from the same table. And over the next 2 or 3 days, every single one of them dies. The reason it works is simple. Boric acid disrupts the lining of their digestive system. Once it's inside them, they can't absorb nutrients anymore. Their gut stops working. For a creature that small, with a metabolism that fast, it doesn't take much. 2 teaspoons per quart is a lethal dose spread across an entire colony, but it's so dilute that no individual wasp can taste it. By the time the damage is done, the whole nest is already fed. Now, the question everybody asks me, what about my dog? What about my cat? What about my grandkids playing in the yard? Boric acid at this concentration is not dangerous to mammals. Your dog would have to drink a truly unreasonable amount of this apple juice to get sick from the boric acid in it. We're talking about a concentration so low it wouldn't bother a 10-pound cat, let alone a 60-pound dog. That said, I still place my bait stations up on a ledge or a shelf or the top of a fence post where the dog can't knock them over, not because I'm worried about poison, because I don't want my dog spilling my bait and wasting good apple juice. That stuff's $1 a jug and I'm not made of money. Let me tell you how to set up the station. Take an empty can or a small jar. I use old jam jars myself, the kind with the wide mouth, and pour in about 1 inch of your bait mixture. No more than 1 inch. You don't want the wasps to fall in and drown. This is important. If they drown, they die right there in your jar, and that's just 1 dead wasp. 1. But if they drink and fly home with a belly full of that boric acid, they share it with 50 others. You see the difference? You're not trying to trap them, you're trying to recruit them. Every wasp that visits your station and lives long enough to fly home is a delivery service carrying poison straight to the queen. Then take a small twig or a little stick and lean it against the inside of the jar so it reaches down into the liquid. That gives them a ramp to climb down and climb back out. Wasps aren't the most graceful creatures around liquid. They need a little help, and you want to make it easy for them. The easier you make it, the more of them come, the faster the colony falls. Now here's something most people don't understand, and it's the whole reason this method is safe for honeybees. Honeybees feed on flower nectar. Their entire biology is built around finding flowers, the colors, the shapes, the ultraviolet patterns on petals that we can't even see, the specific sugars that flowers produce. Apple juice doesn't have the right sugar for them. Honeybees are looking for sucrose that's been broken down by the flower itself into glucose and fructose in a very particular ratio. Apple juice is mostly fructose with some malic acid, and it smells like fruit, not flowers. To a honeybee, it's about as interesting as a mud puddle. But to a wasp or a yellowjacket, which is a scavenger by nature, apple juice smells like a feast. Wasps go after fruit, meat scraps, soda, anything sweet or rich that isn't coming from a blossom. So when you set out apple juice, you're putting up a sign that says, "Wasps welcome, bees keep walking." I've had bait stations sitting 10 feet from my bee boxes for years. I have never once seen a honeybee visit one. Not once. Place your stations around the perimeter of whatever you're trying to protect. If it's a barn, put one near each corner. If it's your house, set them along the eaves where you see the most activity. Every 20 to 30 feet is good spacing. Check them every few days. If the juice is getting low, top it off with a fresh pour from your jug. If you get a heavy rain and the can fills up with water, dump it out and start fresh, because the rainwater dilutes the boric acid below the level where it works. Now let me talk about timing, because this is where most people waste their effort and don't even know it. The best time to set your bait stations is early spring, late March, April, maybe early May, depending on how far north you are. That's when the overwintered queens are coming out of the ground, crawling out from under bark, waking up from wherever they spent the winter, and starting brand new colonies. At that point, a queen is alone, or nearly alone. She's building a nest the size of a golf ball with maybe 3 or 4 workers to help her. If she finds your bait station in April, the whole colony dies before it ever becomes anything. You're stopping an army of 1,000 by catching a squad of 5. If you wait until July or August, those colonies are fully mature. Thousands of workers, aggressive, territorial, and ready to defend. You'll still kill them with the bait. The method works at any time. But it takes longer. You're dealing with a lot more angry insects in the meantime, and you've already lost half the summer to them. So start early. The day you see the first wasp of the season, your stations should already be sitting there waiting. Now, bait takes care of the colonies over time, but sometimes you've got an active nest on your property right now, today, and you need to deal with it before somebody gets hurt. That's a different situation. Let me tell you how I handle it. For a paper wasp nest, those are the open-faced ones that look like a little gray umbrella hanging upside down, where you can see all the individual cells. The simplest method in the world is soap and water. Plain liquid dish soap, the kind you wash your supper plates with. Put about 2 tablespoons into a quart spray bottle, fill the rest with water, and shake it up until it's good and sudsy. That's your weapon right there. Here's what the soap actually does, and this is worth understanding because once you know it, you'll never look at a wasp the same way. Wasps don't breathe through their mouths the way we do. They breathe through tiny holes running along the sides of their body called spiracles. Those spiracles are protected by a thin waxy coating that keeps water out. Under normal conditions, you could spray a wasp with a garden hose and the water would bead right off, same as water on a freshly waxed truck hood. But dish soap is a surfactant. It breaks down that waxy barrier. It dissolves it. Once the wax is gone, the soapy water floods into the spiracles and the wasp can't breathe. It suffocates, drops right out of the air. The beauty of soap and water is that there's nothing in it to worry about. No chemical residue, no poison drifting on the breeze, nothing that's going to hurt your tomato plants or your dog or the creek that runs past your property. It washes away with the next rain, and it's gone like it was never there. But here's the part most people get wrong. When you go after an active nest, do it at dusk, not at noon when you first spot the nest and your blood is up, not mid-afternoon when it's hot and every wasp in the colony is wide awake and looking for a fight. Dusk. There are two reasons. First, at dusk, all the workers have come home for the night. During the day, half the colony is out foraging somewhere, visiting your trash can, your garden, your neighbor's porch. They won't be at the nest when you spray. You'll miss them, and those survivors can start a new nest the following week. At dusk, everybody's home. Second, wasps slow down in cooler air. As the sun goes down and the temperature drops, their metabolism drops with it. They get sluggish, they react slower. You get a bigger head start before they figure out what's happening. So wait for dusk. Walk up calm, aim your sprayer, and soak that nest until it's dripping. Don't give it one little squirt and run. Hold that trigger down and drench everything. Every cell, every wasp on the surface. If a few fly off, keep spraying. The ones that are wet will drop within seconds. The ones that escape with soap on their bodies will die within minutes once it works through the wax. Now, there is one situation where you absolutely do not use soap and water, and I need you to hear this clearly. Never spray water near electrical fixtures, not your porch light, not your breaker panel, not any exposed wiring, junction boxes, nothing with current running through it. Water and electricity together can kill a person, and I am not exaggerating even a little. If you've got a wasp nest built up against a light fixture or tucked inside an electrical box, you leave the spray bottle in the house and you use something different. For nests near anything electrical, what you want is an aerosol product that's labeled as non-conductive. It'll say so right on the can. Look for the words non-conductive or dielectric, and it'll usually tell you the voltage rating. These products freeze the wasps on contact. They work from 10 to 15 feet away, and they won't arc or short-circuit your wiring. I keep one can in my barn at all times for exactly this situation. It's the one thing I'll tell you to go buy because there's no homemade substitute for electrical safety. My grandfather was a practical man, but he also knew when to respect something that could kill you. All right, killing what's already there is half the job. The other half is making sure they don't come back and build in the same spot next spring. Wasps are creatures of habit. If a queen found a good sheltered corner under your eaves last year, a new queen will find it again this year. So you need to make those spots unwelcome. The best preventive I know is diatomaceous earth. Food-grade diatomaceous earth. It's a fine powder made from the fossilized shells of ancient tiny sea creatures. And if you looked at it under a microscope, you'd see that every grain has sharp, jagged edges like broken glass. When a wasp crawls through it, those edges scratch through the waxy coating on its exoskeleton. Same coating I talked about with the soap. Once that wax is damaged, the wasp starts losing moisture through its shell. It dries out from the inside and dies. It's a mechanical process, not a chemical one. There's no poison involved. The wasp can't develop a resistance to it any more than you could develop a resistance to sandpaper. Take a squeeze bulb duster, costs a couple dollars at any hardware store, fill it with diatomaceous earth, and puff a light dusting into the corners of your eaves, around your light fixtures, along the rafters of your barn or porch, around your door frames, any sheltered spot where wasps like to set up. And I mean a light dusting. Spread it like you'd spread seeds, thin and even. You're not pouring concrete. You just want a film. The wasps crawl through it, pick it up on their legs and body, carry it back to wherever they're trying to nest, and it spreads through everything they touch. Food-grade diatomaceous earth won't hurt you, won't hurt your children, won't hurt your animals. You could eat a spoonful and nothing would happen. But for any creature with an exoskeleton, it's devastating. And as long as it stays dry, it keeps working for months. I dust my eaves in early April and again in mid-July, and I don't see a single nest all season long. 2 applications. That's it. And if you want one more layer, and my grandfather swore by this one, use peppermint. Wasps hate the smell of peppermint the way a cat hates bath water. Get yourself some peppermint essential oil, the real kind pressed from the plant, not the synthetic fragrance they sell for candle making. Mix about 30 drops into a quart spray bottle of water with a small squirt of dish soap to help it cling to the surface, and spray it along your door frames, your window casings, your porch railings, anywhere you don't want wasps setting up camp. Do it every couple of weeks through the warm months. It smells good to you. It smells like the end of the world to a wasp. They'll go find somewhere else to live, which is fine. They can have the woods. I just don't want them on my porch. So let me put this all together for you, nice and simple. Early spring, set your boric acid and apple juice bait stations around the property. That catches the queens before the colonies ever get large. Dust your eaves and sheltered corners with food-grade diatomaceous earth to stop nests from forming. Spray your doorways and windows with peppermint oil every couple of weeks to push them away from where your family walks. If you find an active nest that's away from any electrical wiring, take it out at dusk with soap and water. If it's near anything electrical, use a non-conductive aerosol made for that purpose. And through all of it, leave your honeybees alone. They don't want your apple juice. They don't care about your porch light. They're out in the clover doing more for your land than you and I put together. This is how we did it. No store, no chemicals, just common sense and a couple things from the kitchen shelf. My grandfather dealt with wasps every summer of his life out here on this same land. He never bought a single can of anything to do it. He used juice, he used soap, he used dust from the earth, and he used the good sense to do it at the right time and the right way. Not one of those methods has stopped working. Not one. The wasps haven't changed. The science hasn't changed. The only thing that changed is somebody figured out how to put it in a fancy can with a label and charge you $15 for what costs pennies. I'm not saying those companies are doing wrong. Their products work fine. I'm just saying you don't need them. You've got everything you need already for a couple of dollars and a little patience. Companies don't want you to know this, not because it's a secret, because it's free. If this saved you some money, stick around, friend. I've got a lot more where that came from. The land provides. You just need to listen.